Welcome. I'm Carrie Cook with Revive Financials. I'm here today to talk to you about Kakeibo, the blueprint for household budgeting. Kakeibo was originally developed in Japan in 1904 as a way for Japanese housewives to better control their budgeting. Today, I'm going to talk to you about its introduction. I'm going to have you write down things. I'm going to talk to you about reevaluating month end. And then we're going to kind of delve into questions about how much do I want to save? What do I want in this life? What are general expenses? And what are cultural expenses? This is a picture of Hani Motoko. She is the first female magazine editor in Japan, and she had quite a following. And at some point in time, in the early 50s, I believe it was, following a war, she had determined that the households in Japan needed better budgeting. She needed to give tools to the women who were at home while their husbands were working and help them establish savings accounts and prioritize cultural events for themselves and their families. One of the things about this type of budgeting is that we're writing it down. And it's really a very simplified budgeting method. When you are writing things down, your head is attached to your hand, obviously, and the thoughts are running through your body onto paper. It's a different kind of memory than when you simply ignore it. You simply do reconciliation at the end of the year. When you're actually writing things down, it's retained in your brain for much longer. And as you go to use your cash card or your cash, or write a check, or send via Z- Venmo or Zelle, you have a tendency to think a little bit longer about releasing that money. So it really is a beneficial thing, especially now in this time frame of our lives where everything is so fast and so easy. One of the other things to note is that it's very valuable to write this down for goals. You want to make sure that when you are thinking about your goals, that you're writing them down because once you've done that, you've really established a point of your life where it says, "This is important to me. I want to do this." One of the other options would be to record them in a spreadsheet on your computer. I would not recommend that because you lose that train of memory, I think. We want to make sure that we are evaluating the choices that we are making as we set up these budgets and determine what is really very important to us. If a new pair of shoes is really important to us, we should buy them. If a new pair of shoes is really important to us and they are $400, and instead we buy a $100 pair, a $50 pair, a $30 pair, and another $200 pair, and we don't really like any of them, we've really lost. So, in this type of budgeting, you're budgeting for the things you truly desire. It might take us a little bit longer to get the $400 pair of shoes, but in the end, it's worth it. It's going to feel better. This type of budgeting is also something that really slows down the pace of you using your money and recording your money and thinking about your money. It develops new behaviors in yourself. Some of the things that we want to think about are how you can change your future by slowing down and really thinking about what it means to live your life, prioritizing your morals, your values, your goals, your ethics. Are you conscious of the people that you're buying things from? Do you enjoy participating and supporting them? My thought process is always to buy from the small guy. I am an entrepreneur, and I feel really strongly about supporting other entrepreneurs. So when I spend my money, I try to think about how I can spend it in a small environment. But that's up to you. I'm going to give you a small quiz right now I'd like you to take. This is my mindset quiz. And I would like you to just kind of think about it in your own brain. It's an exercise, it's not a judgment. So, can you find a clean notebook and a sharp pencil? Do you pay with plastic or checks? Send e-money or do you use cash? Maybe a little of all. Do you reconcile your spending on a monthly basis? Weekly basis? Daily basis? Do you want to invest in this idea? If so, we're going to move ahead. Old ways versus new ways. Kakeibo helps you to think about how your relationship with money is moving you forward in this life, and are you living your values? Um, in Before today, it was pretty effortless and impulsive to just use your credit card, cash card, e-file, Venmo, whatever it is. It was very easy. It's very fast. It's hard to take out cash and hand cash over to people. It's a different feeling. Moving forward, I'd like you to consider using cash much more frequently than you currently do. A savings plan. A lot of people don't have savings plans. And with this particular type of budgeting, we build a robust savings plan. Um, I think having dedicated money to doing the things that you want in this life is important. Having money that you don't know what to do with is also important. I don't always know what I'm saving for, but I religiously save for it. Recognizing the impact of your unplanned spending. You see something in the store window and you wanted it because you were intentionally coming to get it, and then you see something else and you buy it as well. Um, we want you to have clear priorities on when you're actually spending money. So, with this, I want you to start to visualize what your priorities are in your future. This is well before we write anything down. I want you to visualize areas that you want to stop, the areas of your world that really keep you from finding peace. And I want you to set a savings goal. Um, at this point, I want you to spend a couple minutes thinking about that. What are your priorities? What is your obstacle? What do you want to save for? What do you not know you want to save for, but want to save anyway? Think about that for a few minutes. Then I'm going to talk to you about identifying what kind of spend we're talking about in this particular budget because it's a little bit different. General spend is essential stuff. It's your mortgage, it's your water bill, it's your groceries, it's your transportation, actually. Um, it's all the things that you need in Maslow's theory of hierarchy. Um, your wants are going to be the things you want. I want new earrings. I want to go traveling. I want a new pair of shoes. I want to take a spa. Anything like that. It's pretty much a want. There are going to be things in your general that are that have the potential of being in your want pile. I struggle with a cell phone. I'm an old girl, and so having a cell phone I still think of as a luxury, and it's a very expensive luxury. I hang on to my cell phones for a very long time. Is it a want? Is it a general spend? That's kind of your decision. You have to be the person to make that decision. But it's something to think about. And I want you to think about all of those things as you put together your budget. Culturally, this is the thing that I was not expecting in this type of bookkeeping, budgeting. Finding your purpose through culture. I think it's pretty important to analyze that and figure out how much time we are actually invested in culture. Um, some of us are very invested in culture, some of us are not. I buy books, not very often. I listen to them on my Audible. I go to museums even less often. I do a lot of BBC and natural history and those types of things that feed me, but I'm certainly not walking through an environment. Memberships. I have a lot of online memberships, but I don't have anything that I walk into a building and say, this is my space. So you really have to think about how your definition of culture comes across. Traditionally, culture was going to be things that enhanced your understanding of other people. And I think with that kind of a definition, we could call in electronics pretty easily. But there's a part of me that still thinks that we need to be physically present for something to impact us culturally. And then the next and last category would be unexpected extras. Things like a root canal, a car repair, a funeral, in another state, maybe unexpected travel. We need to think about these things and build budgets for these. The one piece that's not on this list is savings, and I want to talk to you about savings. I think it's just as important as having a cultural pile as to have a savings pile. I would like to see that be part of your expenses. When you get your paycheck, I want you to think about savings as an expense and that you pay yourself first. Move whatever small amount you can on every paycheck to a dedicated savings account, not your Roth, not your 401, not your stocks. I want you to move it to a dedicated savings account just for you, just for your future, just so that you have something to hold on to. I want you to write down a daily checklist. This is where our notebook comes in handy. So I just went to Barnes and Nobles and I got this pretty simple little notebook, right? The nice piece about this notebook is that it has dates across the top of it. So you can just circle any date that you are on and the month so that you have a record of it. This is a demonstration model for you, but I will show you that in a minute. So it's just a notebook. We're going to divide the notebook into pieces. We're going to write down all of your incoming money. It's important for you to recognize that you have more than just your wages. Sometimes you have interest. Sometimes you have somebody paid you back. Um, Sometimes you find 20 bucks on the ground. So we want to make sure that we write down all of your incoming. Then from there, we want to write down your savings, what you're moving over to savings every time. We want to write down your general spend. That's your mortgage. I can show you that. That's your mortgage and your water bill and things like that. Um, Write down your wants. I want to have dinner with my friends on Saturday. I'm putting some money together for that. I've written it on my pages so that I know that this is something I am going to spend. And I'm on the day that it's spent, it's going to be recorded as spent. Write down my cultural spend, tickets to a museum or something, and write down your unexpected expenses. So when you're writing in your paper journal, you're going to feel very differently about how this comes across. And you're going to, it's going to feel very old school, but that's a good thing because it's going to be retained in your brain longer and you're going to really think about it, especially if you're doing this on a daily basis. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate your expected monthly income and then calculate your expected monthly expenses and then set a savings goal. You're going to want to write this down on your book. What are your expected incomes? What are your traditionally expected monthly expenses? And then what do you want to save? And we're going to continually look at this number over time and adjust it as needed. We don't always get the same kind of money. We don't always have the same kind of expenses. And as we progress through this system, we're going to adjust it so that it's a better reflection of how we're doing. It's important, again, to think about how much you'd like to save and how much you're willing to spend. I also want you to, on a monthly basis, think about how you can improve the system. This is also part of Hani's budgeting. So we're going to begin with your savings and how much money you want to save. We're going to move on to an honest list of how much money is coming in for the month. And then we're going to do an honest evaluation of your expenses. I'm hammering this in because it's so very important. The most important word in this entire thing is honest. You have to be honest with yourself. If you are making $100 an hour, you're probably going to bring home 65. We want to make sure that that 65 is an accurate portrayal. If you think you're making $100 an hour and you write down 85 and you've paid taxes and it's not 85, it's going to skew your budgeting very much. So we just want to be really accurate about what we're doing here. Same thing with wants. If you know that your shoes are going to cost you $100 and you're in a tax-free state like Minnesota, then you need to figure out where that $100 is coming from and then be okay spending it. We want to make sure that the expenses for your culture are, again, enhancing your brain. We want to make sure that you're getting something out of that spend, something that enhances, something that you can talk about socially, something that you can learn from. And then the unexpected. Well, it's hard to write down the unexpected, isn't it? We just should have a file for that. $500. Let's just try and reach $500. And, it's not today. It's going to be a savings plan, but we should think about having $500 to use in unexpected expenses. Again, we want to make sure that you're in alignment with your goals. If you don't have the goals, you really need to think about them. It's a long life. You're going to make a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot of money. What are you saving? So this is an example of the monthly planner. It's basically just a month. There is no Sundays on this particular calendar. It's basically a month. And what we want to do is set it up so that everything is in a different color, so that it's a visual cue as to how you're spending money and where and when you're spending it. So as you see here, our income, we get paid every 2 weeks, and our income comes in on Monday. So we write that down. In our notebooks, we're going to put down how much money is involved with that, but we're going to write it down every 2 weeks. We have a savings plan that we've developed. We're going to move $50 every 2 weeks into a savings plan so that we have something to rely on when we're, at the end of this year, we're going to have money set there to do things with. Our general it's a gray brown, I guess, and that would be things like the water bill, groceries, gas for the car. Our wants, I wanted to have dinner on the 22nd with my friends. That is in lilac, and we can determine how much money is involved with all this shortly. Our cultures land on Sunday or on Saturday. I'm going to a culture event once every 2 weeks. What's really interesting about that word is it kind of prompts you to recognize that maybe you're not as cultural as you think you are, and you could use a little more culture. So invest in some museum or art show or something that's in town. A, to get you out socially, B, to expose you to other things, and C, to just have a good time. The last one is the unexpected in orange. And on the 11th, we had, I don't know, car repair. We it's something that has to be written down, and hopefully we don't see very much orange. But this is basically a visual for you to help control your spending. In tandem, we do a weekly, and in a week's time, it matches the month, and we can see that we're doing salaries on Mondays, and we're also doing our savings on Mondays. We have a concert on Saturday, and we're going to do lunch with friends on Saturday. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. I wanted to spend a couple minutes just showing you this. And I guess I'm going to give you a thank you first. Yeah, thank you. There's my information. But then I don't know how to minimize this. Can't minimize it. Okay. So basically, this is what my notebook looks like. It has 4 boxes plus my savings, and it's got the date on the top. I don't know how about that. The date on the top. And basically, every day at the end of the day, I'm taking all the receipts that I've saved for the day and I am putting them in this notebook. Um, at the end of the month, my intention is to take a look at how much money I've spent, where I've spent it, and how much I've saved. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, you can reach me. I'm Carrie Cook again at carrie.cook@revivefinancials.com. Or you can set a Calendly if you'd like on my website, revivefinancials.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.